To ease into it, let's start with an underappreciated side of an already popular composer. We'll get to the truly underrated artists in just a minute. You may know this guy for his Unleashed Day stages, but you'll never guess what else he's done, and what he hasn't done. Yup, he's the one who did the Knuckle stages in SA2. Yeah, betcha you didn't know that. He actually has a lo-fi hip-hop channel on YouTube if you're curious. As you see here, not just day stages, he even does epic boss fights. It's not just that. The man also made the fan-fucking-tastic, very underrated and iconic E306 theme, as well as doing Crisis City and helped out in various tracks in 06, and surprisingly did Hang Castle for Heroes. There are many more composers than we usually talk about, though that doesn't mean that they aren't recurring. While we do give the right amount of appreciation to people like Jun Senoue, Ohtani, and Lopes, and for sure they are goated, especially Jun Senoue and Ohtani, there are a handful of other composers that should also get to share in the spotlight. We can see patterns in the type of music that they excel at, and it's really useful for us when we discuss and come to an agreement on what composer we want for a future game based on how the composer's skill set matches with the demands of the game. And here I'm showing you special cases where composers may excel at one genre but are also adept at another genre. For example, Ohtani, who is known for having done the modern boost stages, but also did the beats for the knuckle stages in SA2. However, he's also made some misses. Ohtani and classic music just don't mix. He's the one responsible for classic Green Hill Enforces. Speaking of classic music, when it comes to Lopes, who obviously did a great job on Mania, he's not the only one who can deliver when it comes to classic music. There is also now Fumie, who I'm going to cover later, who did the soundtrack in CD and the Egg Dragoon Enforces. Now you may ask, or rather you should be asking, if Ohtani didn't do the hub world themes, then who did? Well, that, my friends, is Fumie Kumatani. Yeah, don't just think that this composer right here is just good for some hub worlds or some worldy music. No. She made the fucking Biolizard and Shadows tracks in SA2. Not only did she do Shadows themes in SA2, she also did some of Rouge's themes in SA2, and the Sayonara theme in SA2, which we all love. If we look back at Unleashed, Fumie is also the one who gave us some of the Night themes, the Tornado theme, and Skyscraper Scramper Day. Now we've gotten to Kenichi Tokoi, who has done some of the Night themes, as well as the iconic Werehog battle theme. While it's overplayed in the game, that's not really his fault, still really good. On top of having composed the Night themes, he also did the quite immersive and relaxing yet exciting Planet Wisp. And not only that, he's also responsible for a lot of Secret Rings music, like Who's Gonna Rock the Place. So this guy is definitely a mainstay. Since this guy is obviously so accomplished in his contributions to the Sonic franchise's discography, he should become an astronaut so he can become the second human in Earth to piss on the moon. While I do prefer the first Sonic Rush's music by Hideaki Naganuma, I do still think that the Rush Adventure soundtrack is still really nice and pretty unique compared to the rest of the franchise's music. And Mariko Nanba right here is the one responsible for the majority of Sonic Rush Adventure's music. A little surprising maybe that the one who did the music for Rush Adventure, which is pretty energetic and has perhaps a little bit of funk or something into it, is the one who's also responsible for the music in Aquatic Base, as well as several other 06 soundtracks like Soliana Castle Town and Kingdom Valley. As you can see here, Mariko Nanba is the one responsible for the map areas in colors. For example, Sweet Mountain or Aquarium Park. So she's not only adept at energetic or immersive levels, she can also do hub worlds. Man, oh man, now we've gotten to the legend Hideaki Kobayashi himself, who's done the final orchestral theme for Colors, which is said to be perhaps the hypest or most epic among the final boss themes, aside from Live and Burn, and helped out with the Unleashed final boss orchestral theme, as well as Egg Dragoon in Unleashed. This guy's not just brought in for the epic final bosses, no, he's here for a lot of the bosses, even the exciting normal bosses like Silver's boss fights or the character boss fights and the Eggman boss fights in both 06 and Unleashed. He's also the one who's doing the cutscene music before the boss fights and in general the dramatic moments. He's also the one who did the spiritual music in 06 where Sonic revives. Until this point you may have thought, hey, this guy is really good at epic music, but can he do something else? Well, yes. This guy can deliver us some of that shiver-inducing creepy music. This guy did almost all the Mephiles themes, both cutscenes and boss fights. And now we have Yutaka and Minobe, who's done like half of Black Knight's music. He's done both a lot of cutscenes and some stages, like Deep Woods. As you can see, he's not just making cutscene music that fits to the occasion, he can also make music that really excites and takes over a cutscene. Maybe a little surprising to some, he's the one who helped Ohtani with Null Space. And it seems like people like Null Space a lot and would have liked for it to have taken a bigger place. As you can see here, he's not just good at making medieval music, he's also doing some great final boss music, and he did a lot of the music for Shadow the Hedgehog. Aside from this Black Doom boss, which obviously isn't the final super boss, but still one of the final bosses, he also did The Last Way, as well as the final cutscene. When you try to enter the soundtrack of this game, you can count on Richard using that unavoidable chin move, because that's how unavoidable he is in the soundtrack. It was this song that accompanied the stage where Aaron freaked the fuck out. Surprised yet? Yeah, This guy's the legend that made the iconic Sonic R soundtrack. Something that goes perhaps a little unmentioned is that the menu themes in Black Knight have a certain style that's pretty nice, and this guy's the one who made all of them. Go listen to the Ash Grove main menu theme and you might be surprised by some of the instrumentation. I mentioned this guy earlier, Fumie Hataya. He's the composer for CD, and as you all know, CD is pretty darn packed with some creative and good music. As you can hear, Fumie Hataya is still pretty good at making some classic music, maybe not quite as good as CD, but it still holds up compared to Ohtani, who missed the mark when making classic music. As I said before, Fumie Hataya is the one who did a lot of the classic music in Forces, not Green Hill. He did things like Ghost Town, Egg Dragoon, and classic Death Egg. Yeah, this guy did some of the iconic music for the special stages in Heroes, so it's not just classic tracks, this guy's just good at making unique sounds in general. It's Hideaki Naganuma, the composer for the vast majority of the first Rush game. It's iconic, it's one of the best. I don't need to say anything more, except that maybe that he really excels at making exciting music. It's T. Lopes, it's the guy behind Mania. Just like with Hideaki Naganuma for Rush, this guy's just iconic. I don't have much to say except that he really excels at making modern music in the spirit of classic music. And of course, Jun Senoue, lastly. Everyone knows he's had a hand, if not led, the vast majority of Sonic games. He's also one half of Crush 40. He's definitely earned his reputation as the composer in the Sonic community. He's led SA1, SA2, Heroes, Shadow, Black Knight, and TSR. And surprisingly, he also was the one who did Sonic 4. And say what you will about the game, but the music is still pretty good. Now, when it comes to his music in general, a lot of it does lean towards rock, but don't think that it's only standard butt rock. The music he's done for these games do have a good amount of variation. For example, in SA1 we have Twinkle Park, as you're listening to right now, the options music called Funky Groove Makes You Hot, Ice Cap's music called Snowy Mountain, and the last part of Speed Highway, among many others. As you can hear, he did Casino Park for Heroes, which I wouldn't say is standard butt rock, and then you also have Frog Forest, which he also did do, which sounds pretty atmospheric. And here you have Lost Impact from Shadow, which is pretty slow, soothing, and melancholy. He made in the Shadow the Hedgehog soundtrack is Digital Circuit, which stands out a little bit. And here we have a track of his from Black Knight, which is the Merlina theme, which expresses a certain amount of sorrow. Another theme that Jun Senoue made that stands out a little bit in the Black Knight soundtrack is Blacksmith, which I'd say is pretty underrated. And that was the last song.